Flat out, the first few weeks of baseball have been absolutely electric. And honestly, the rule changes probably have some play here, but I'll save that for another video. So the question is, who is the hottest player in baseball right now? I think I have my mind made up, and it might be a little bit unexpected. In fact, later in the video, I'm going to share something about this player that absolutely blew my mind. But before we get started, go ahead and comment below. Who is the hottest player in baseball, in your opinion? And let's see if we're on the same page. Dope. Let's go ahead and get a Whiffski of this breakdown. Initially on this list were the likes of Ronald Acuna Jr., Corbin Carroll, Matt Chapman, Xander Bogaerts, and Wander Franco. But frankly, we're not talking about any of these studs today. Who we are talking about is Jarred frickin' Kelenic. The next Barry Bonds light per Twitter conversations, but I don't really know because the next Barry Bonds might not be a thing. He was just that good. Special juice aside, obviously. But if you didn't know, Jarred Kelenic was once touted as a generational super prospect, the centerpiece of the return for the trade that sent Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano to the Mets. However, since then, Jarred Kelenic has been a bit of a super senior, if you kind of know what I mean. Essentially, there have been glimpses, and I mean very small, tiny glimpses of what he can do in the majors, but otherwise categorically failing to live up to his expectations. And we can see this in his atrocious stats, his Mendoza line crumbling, and overall the negative production value that he's brought to the table. I mean, frankly, just look at him and analyze some of his mannerisms. This is flat out a dude struggling with the yips, let's be honest. And you know who else is struggling with the yips? You, because chances are you haven't subscribed yet. Kidding, but also not really kidding. Go ahead and subscribe. It would mean a metric yip ton. Dope. Let's get back to it. Now, the Mariners recently ended the longest playout drought in professional sports and are clearly in win now mode. This mentality was made evidently clear when the Mariners went out and got Teoscar Hernandez this offseason. They also did some things at the end of last year, like extending Julio Rodriguez and Luis Castillo, that also played into this mentality as well. So with this in mind, Kelenic probably understood and comprehended that if he didn't start playing up to his potential, 2023 is going to be the last year that he had an opportunity to claim this everyday spot with the Mariners. That said, the only thing consistent about Jarred Kelenic has been his unwavering dedication and unparalleled work ethic. And to be honest, that's probably what's going to save him. So instead of going home and relaxing, decompressing from the year, he decided to go to Southern California and Arizona and work throughout the entire offseason with the likes of Driveline and some anonymous hitting coaches. In fact, he went on to say that he wrote absolutely everything down in a notebook, and honestly that deserves a lot of respect because essentially what he's saying is that he's a sponge, ego doesn't matter, and there's always ways to improve, and he's dedicating himself to doing so. And flat out, he showed up. Jarred frickin' Kelenic showed up in spring training. Right off the bat, we saw lower hand load, much more balanced leg kick, and a quieter stance. The somehow always intense Jarred Kelenic was starting to exude confidence with his approach. Fast forward to today. We are now essentially 3 weeks through baseball. The best positional player in the league right now is Ronald Acuna Jr., sporting a WAR of 1.1. But when you break it down, Jarred Kelenic's offensive productions are even more impressive. Specifically when you look at the offensive WAR contributions per at-bat, because naturally Ronald Acuna Jr. has 20 more at-bats than Jarred Kelenic. But let's be honest, Jarred Kelenic has looked like a stud in the field as well. I mean, look at some of these clips where he's just flat out making it happen. That said, the absolutely most impressive thing about how Jarred Kelenic is starting to emerge is the way at which he's doing so. Now, for example, Jarred Kelenic hit 4 home runs in 4 straight games, and that doesn't even tell the whole story. The story is how he's done that. One of these homers was hit 420 feet opposite field, and another one of them was the longest recorded home run in Wrigley Field history per StatCast, which also happened to be the longest recorded Mariners home run in StatCast history as well. Flat out, just listen to this call. This dude is doing things that we haven't seen before.
Straight away center field. Let's make it 3 in a row for Kelenic. It is gone. Home run. Upper deck bleacher center field. Where few have gone before.
So if I were to stop this video right now and you only had one takeaway, Jarred Kelenic's showing up and he's starting to realize some of the potential that was maybe attached to his prospect status and report card. Report card? What are we going back to school? Jeez Louise. Now this is obviously a hot streak and these values and metrics can't necessarily be sustained, or he is the next Barry Bonds. That said, there are some extremely valuable learnings that we can extract from probably the hottest player in baseball right now, being Jarred Kelenic. Number one, the Mariners outfield is flat out young, scary, talented, and hardworking. That's a formula for sustained long-term success for the Mariners. Number 2, Jared Kelenic might not be the next Barry Bonds, but if you look at the way that he's approaching the plate and his overall metrics per Baseball Savant, he's looking pretty darn comparable to Corey Seager if he can fix his strikeout issues a little bit, and that's a huge deal. And number 3, this is my personal favorite. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is an absolutely incredibly fun time for baseball, and there are a ton of players that could have been featured on this video instead. But that brings me to another reason why Jared Kelenic is featured, and to some of the more shocking research I discovered when making this video. In Major League history of players that had at least 550 plate appearances, Jared Kelenic was the second worst offensive debut ever, sporting a 168 batting average. Yeah, he's that bad. And this season, he's this good. So Jared Kelenic, comeback story of the year, don't count him out. And that brings us to the end of the video. It's been a fun video. Do you agree with me? Is Jared Kelenic the most electrifying player in baseball right now, or am I just a dimwit? Let me know down in the comments and let's have a chat about it. And if you haven't done so already, support the Whiffski community. Throw me a like, comment, subscribe. However you choose to support today, I would appreciate it, because we're growing the Whiffski community one subscriber at a time. And until next time, peace!